Pakistan's Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, is negotiating directly with the Trump administration about sending 20,000 Pakistani troops to Gaza. But here is what most mainstream coverage completely misses. As of December 2025, no final decision has been announced, and that silence is not confusion. It is the strategy. For 2 straight months, from intelligence leaks in October to financial rewards in December, Munir has kept the deployment question deliberately unresolved. During that time, Pakistan secured $686 million in F-16 upgrades, a $1.2 billion IMF tranche, and a Saudi loan rollover, all without committing a single soldier to Gaza. This is not indecision, this is extraction. Normally, when a country plans to send troops, the order is clear. First, a decision, then a commitment, and only after that, aid and rewards. But here the order is reversed. Pakistan received the money first. Then came silence, and after that, fresh negotiations without sending a single soldier to Gaza. That reversal is not accidental, it is the strategy. And once you see who keeps winning from this uncertainty, the global power balance starts to look very different. Three uncomfortable truths sit beneath this story. First, the basic assumption that Pakistan will either deploy troops or refuse to deploy is completely wrong. That kind of yes or no thinking is a trap. The media wants closure. Diplomats want clear decisions. Viewers want a final answer. But militaries don't win from answers. They win from delay. Munir understands this perfectly. His real advantage does not come from choosing yes or no. It comes from never choosing at all. If he says yes, his leverage ends immediately. If he says no, he risks angering Trump at a time when Pakistan badly needs money. So he stays in the middle, negotiating without committing, delaying without refusing, extracting benefits while keeping every option open. In this game, time is not a problem for him. Time is the weapon. And the longer he waits, the more he gets. Second, the silence helps everyone involved because clarity creates risk. For the United States, forcing a clear answer from a nuclear-armed Pakistan risks pushing it closer to China and Russia. That is a strategic loss Washington wants to avoid. For Saudi Arabia, cutting financial support over Gaza would raise uncomfortable questions about Gulf security and regional stability. Silence keeps those optics under control. Inside Pakistan, the opposition cannot fully mobilize without a final decision. Protests need a trigger, and silence denies them that moment. So ambiguity protects everyone's weak point, and Munir profits from all of them. Third, and this is the most uncomfortable truth, the Pakistani military no longer answers to Pakistani civilians. In November 2025, a constitutional amendment made Asim Munir Field Marshal for life, with full immunity from prosecution. This meant civilian investigators could no longer open cases against him, and civilian courts lost the power to summon or try him while he remains in office. The word lifetime matters here. It removes the one pressure point generals usually face, retirement. This did not just extend his tenure, it ended civilian oversight. The civil-military balance did not slowly shift, it collapsed. Here is the detail most analysts missed. In June 2025, Trump invited Asim Munir to the White House. Not Pakistan's Prime Minister, not the Foreign Minister, just the Army Chief. In normal diplomacy, civilian leaders come first. Militaries follow policy. They don't set it. A US president meeting a foreign military chief alone is rare. It usually happens only during crisis, pressure, or coercion. That meeting sent a quiet but clear signal. Power in Pakistan was no longer civilian. And that alone should have raised alarms. 3 months later, in November, Pakistan's parliament passed the 27th Constitutional Amendment. It granted Munir lifetime immunity and made him Chief of Defense Forces, placing the Navy and Air Force under his control. On the same day, the Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee, the only institution meant to balance military power, was scheduled for dissolution. That was not coincidence. That was legal armor. Munir anticipated future accountability and eliminated it in advance. Once that amendment passed, his position changed completely. He could negotiate directly with foreign powers. He could accept or reject troop deployment without civilian interference. The military no longer needed democratic permission. Now the calculation becomes clear. In August 2025, Pakistan's entire parliament unanimously passed a resolution supporting Palestine and condemning Israeli military actions. Every party, every lawmaker, no dissent. Then in October, intelligence reports revealed that the same military leadership was preparing to send 20,000 troops to Gaza under Israeli-backed stabilization operations. The contradiction is absolute. So why did not mass protests erupt? Because opposition had already been neutralized. In October 2025, just days after intelligence reports leaked about a possible Gaza deployment, the government banned Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, the country's largest Islamist street mobilization force. Only after those leaks did the arrests begin. More than 6,000 activists were taken into custody. Then, 61 seminaries were sealed. This was not routine law enforcement. The order matters. First came the Gaza signals, then came the crackdown. It was preemptive suppression, clearing the streets before a decision the public was never meant to debate. Imran Khan has been imprisoned since August 2023, facing over 150 cases which he says are politically motivated. His party members continue to be convicted in courts. By December 2025, every organized domestic check on the Gaza decision had been dismantled. So when protests appear, they have nowhere to go. No political party, no religious organization, no judiciary, only the streets, and the military has already shown it can control those. If you want geopolitics without noise, panic, or propaganda, subscribe. This channel tracks power, not headlines. Let's continue. Now, here is where the global picture truly shifts. The Pakistani military is no longer financially dependent on its own government. In December 2025 alone, the US approved $686 million for F-16 upgrades. The IMF released $1.2 billion. Saudi Arabia extended its $3 billion deposit for another year. These were not random events, they were synchronized. All three decisions landed within the same weeks. None of them demanded a final answer on Gaza, and all of them kept their language deliberately conditional. That overlap is the signal, and it only worked because the Gaza deployment decision remained unresolved. That's the key. Pakistan was receiving money from multiple external sources while committing to nothing. This is not how a normal country behaves. This is how a military behaves when it treats everything like a deal. Each concession is priced separately. Each financial package is extracted independently. Pakistan has returned to its old model, where the military depends on foreign support, not its own people. And now, that model is even more costly than before. So what happens next? Munir is unlikely to ever announce a clear yes or no. Instead, expect phased conditional deployment starting around January 2026. Not 20,000 troops. First, 2,000 to 5,000 technical advisors or training units. Different story for different audiences. Internationally, stabilization. Domestically, limited protection of national interests. Politically, forced necessity due to external pressure. This lets Munir test reactions. How do officers respond? How do the streets respond? If resistance grows, he can pull back without admitting retreat. If it doesn't, he escalates. Either way, Trump stays engaged. Saudi money keeps flowing, and Munir keeps monetizing uncertainty. What this ultimately reveals is that Pakistan's military is no longer a strategic ally. It is a pay-per-month actor. The old US-Pakistan deal, where Pakistan got stability in return for cooperation, no longer exists. It has been replaced by a pricing model where every phase is negotiated separately and every decision is delayed for profit. With lifetime immunity, constitutional dominance, nuclear weapons, and direct access to Trump, the military has no reason to prioritize long-term stability over short-term gain. And that leads to the real question. What happens to South Asia when a nuclear-armed Pakistan removes civilian control, concentrates power in one authority, and starts treating its geopolitical position as a way to make money? The most dangerous players are not those who make open threats. They are the ones who keep negotiating endlessly, sounding reasonable while quietly building more and more power. Watch this decision closely. It will reveal whether the world truly understands Pakistan's military motives or is still hoping it will follow rules it has already abandoned. Jai Hind.